This is with Rockin' with J-Man is with Brendon Smalls. So how you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
Good, man. How's life treating you?
Well, I've been very busy. I've had a very busy time because I have a lot of stuff that's coming out next week, including a movie and a couple of records, and we're getting ready to go on tour. So I'm busy and I'm tired already, and I haven't even done anything. Except for, I mean, we did do a lot. We made a record, we made a movie. That's a lot of work. So it took about 3 years to make it.
So 2023 is the year of dethklok.
You tell me.
Yeah, so we got that movie, Army of the Doomstar.
Yeah.
We got the soundtrack, the Dethalbum, the fourth, and a huge tour coming up.
Yeah, with BabyMetal. So we're gonna go on the road. We're starting rehearsals tomorrow. If the thunderstorm doesn't stop us, if the crazy tropical storm doesn't stop us, we'll be rehearsing. And yeah, so that's what happens. The movie drops next week. The two records drop next week, and then we go on the road and we just start playing. Everybody's where are you? Where are you located?
Buffalo, New York.
Oh, Buffalo. Okay, cool.
Yeah. So what made you put everything out almost at once?
Well, every single part of this project is connected, you know. So the movie is a big final piece of this whole animated series, and it took a while to get it going. But when they asked me to make a movie, they said we're asking for a movie, we're asking for a dethklok record, Dethalbum IV, and then we talked about adding in a soundtrack, which is like the score of the movie. So when you watch a movie, all the music that's playing, the incidental music. So I was really excited about that because I'd never really done a full score or directed a movie before. So all that stuff was exciting. And we had to kind of start a long time ago, like 3 years ago in 2020, to to get to this point, to get it all ready and at the same time. Because because everything kind of like connects to something else. The movie and the soundtrack are definitely connected. Dethklok Dethalbum IV is connected to the movie too, and this tour is basically a big celebration of the whole Metalocalypse series and the music. And so you put it all out at the same time, and you kind of start a tour, and you're just go out and connect with people because I've been indoors for a really long time, so it'll be fun to go on the road. But yeah, why do you do it? Because they're all connected. It's almost like they're not. It'd be weird to kind of just put out the soundtrack of the movie and then a month later put out the movie. The movie and the soundtrack kind of have to come out at the same time. Um, and the dethklok record is something that's just how we've done it before. We've tried to like put out, try to see how much stuff we can put out at the same time and kind of go around and tell people about it by being on stage.
Now,
Most movies don't have a tour that you can make. Most movies like they just go to the theaters and that's it.
how did you come up with the voices?
I used to sit around when I was a kid with a tape recorder, and makes stupid voices. Maybe you do that too. I don't know. It's always fun for me to like goof off and just try to be funny with my friends. And so it's always fun to see how much you can change your voice too, how different you can make your voice sound, and how many characters you can do. And I think part of a fun TV show idea is to really make distinctive different characters, so that like if you watch it, you and your friends can do impressions of these characters and you can start acting like them, and it's kind of fun just to change your voice. I don't know if you like sit around and make prank phone calls or anything, but when I was a kid, that's how we had fun. We just called people. It was before like you could have caller ID or anything. You could just go around and annoy people all day, and that was how I had fun.
I mean, I kind of prank call 'em, but like I do it to scammers. I do it to scammers.
Yeah, 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 yeah. They deserve it. Yeah.
Yeah. Now you do research on other death metal bands, and you throw some of the real stories in the death lock.
We didn't really throw any real stories, but we're always doing research, and there were lots of different times where we'd have people talk to us and just tell us stories, just so the writers that I work with have an understanding of this world, because some people I work with don't know that much about heavy metal. So it's up to us to educate them. And we want to use these great writers who who are naturally funny, who kind of tell stories from their own world and put in the show. But before we had Scott Ian from Anthrax come over and just talk to our writers and tell stories about what it's like to be on the road, what it's like to be in the studio, what it feels like to be on stage, and all those things. And it really helps educate everyone. Um, and then you can start throwing ideas in the episodes, or you have a better frame of understanding what the show is. And the more you understand, and the more research you do, the easier it is to write. That's how you do it. So if you want to like whatever it is that you want to write about, the more you the more you kind of just watch everything that has to do with it, like every documentary that has to do with bands working together, I would watch, and I would recommend those same documentaries to like Metallica, Some Kind of Monster was a really important documentary to see because it shows how a band actually works, how they're human beings trying to put an album together. I watched a lot of other ones too. So that's kind of what we would do, but we would cast real heavy metal people as voices so they could be funny with us, and just be part of the fun.
So how did you get all these famous people in to guest star in this movie?
Well, some of these people are, famous people like Kirk Hammett has already been on the show before, and then again Scott Ian has been on the show before, and King Diamond has already been on the show before. Um, so this show has a history of putting these people on, and a lot of them just came back and joined us. And we're really lucky to get people like um, Mark Hamill, who you know as Luke Skywalker, which is pretty crazy. He's in every single episode of the show and gotten to know him over the years, and he's very cool and very funny and a nice guy. And actors like Malcolm McDowell, there are a lot of movies that he made that I think are just amazing, like Clockwork Orange. I don't know if you've ever seen that, if you're too young, or if you like scary, messed up movies. But when I was a kid, when I was your age, I was always watching horror movies and sneaking down and turning on the TV and trying to find something that was exciting and interesting and scary or funny, or just stuff that I wasn't allowed to watch was really interesting to me. And and uh and it all stuck with me, and I really like all that crazy dark stuff, and I like heavy metal, and I like scary movies and all that stuff. Um so I would watch movies like Clockwork Orange. And then we have guys like John Hamm, who you have probably seen in other movies, who has been on the show before too, but would always take an interest. He really likes the show a lot too, and so he would ask, when are you coming back? When are you making another thing? And he would email me, and that was all very cool. So a lot of these people we knew because of the show already, and then they just kind of joined us again, which was really really cool of them because it wasn't, no one's forcing them to. They had to say yes, and it was really cool to have them back.
And what is the plot to Army of Doomstar?
Well, this is the end of the series for Metalocalypse, the TV show, and this picks up after the last thing we did, which was a long time ago, which was a thing called the Doomstar Requiem, and it was an hour-long rock opera special. So it was all music and everybody sang, and this picks up right on the end of that, where Nathan Explosion, the lead singer of dethklok, finds himself kind of in a strange state. The last incarnation, the Doomstar Requiem, scared him. Has post traumatic stress, and so he's finds himself in a really mixed up place where he's professionally and romantically kind of in disarray, and he feels really bad. And then he's asked to write this song that may or may not save the world. So this is about a band trying to figure themselves out, trying to figure out this song while a big crazy bad thing is coming, and can they do it in time, and what's going to happen. So that's what it's really about. It's about the journey of this band. It's about its relationship with each other, but it's really crazy, and it's a really like bonkers movie that's pretty adult in theme, and it's got lots of bad words, and it's got lots of crazy explosive cool animation that looks really neat, And so yeah, I think it's gonna look really cool. I think you might like it.
Now, do people at your shows freak out when they see like actual live human beings come out, not like cartoon versions?
No, they don't. They kind of know what's going on because we go out on stage and we have a gigantic movie theater size screen behind us that plays animation, and we play our music to the picture. And the way that we line it up is the drummer has a headset on, like this one I'm wearing, but it feeds him a click track, which is like, the tempo of the piece. So it feeds him that, and he knows to count us in. And when he starts playing, that's right when the picture starts going. So every drum hit, it coincides with the picture. So it really looks cool, but it's something that we already made and we're just running the whole time. So what we do as the band on stage is we're kind of almost meant to be somewhat invisible, because we sound exactly like dethklok because we make the music for dethklok. But the real show is this gigantic movie theater size screen behind us. And it ends up being really fun because we can throw jokes in there. We can be funny. We can be brutal. We can be kind of epic at the same time. And it's a really fun show.
You get pretty much free reign at Adult Swim.
No, not really. I mean, it's always tricky. I think what you have to do is hopefully make a TV show, use the money that it takes to make a TV show correctly, and hopefully get people like an audience excited about it so they keep on watching it. And if you can do all that stuff, you still don't get free reign because it's somebody else's money, you know what I mean? It's almost like getting a record deal, somebody else pays for it and you have to kind of negotiate with somebody else and make sure that you're all on the same page and hopefully have a good business relationship. So Adult Swim was really cool with us. And on this movie, I think we creatively got to do what we really, really wanted to. So maybe we did get free reign. I'm not sure.
Now, since you're working with Adult Swim, do you have the inside scoop about who's gonna be the new Rick and Morty?
I don't know who the new Rick and Morty is going to be. Did you try out for it?
I can't voice them. Nah,
No, no.
nah.
No, I don't know. So they kept that secret from you. Maybe it's under lock and key. Maybe it's top secret.
Yeah, that situation was crazy.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What can you do?
Exactly. Did you ever think about doing Snakes and Barrel spinoff and show their early years as a show?
That's a funny question. It's really fun making the music for all the other side bands inside of the show because I get to do the dethklok music, and then there's Dr. Roxo, the rock and roll clown, and his band that has a side project. That's another band inside of the thing. If I had all the time in the world, maybe that would be fun to do a couple songs. I don't know if I would do a full record because doing a full record takes a lot of time. It's crazy. I just got finished making one, and it's always pretty brutal going through the whole process, but it's also really fun.
Was the drummer supposed to look like Vince Neil?
Was the drummer supposed to look like Vince Neil? Oh, when he's in Snakes and Barrels?
Yeah.
I think they were thinking like Axl Rose a little bit. I think that's kind of what the idea was. If Axl Rose basically started in Snakes and Barrels and then ended up as a drummer in, an extreme metal band. So yeah, that was the idea. But when we talk about rock and roll, we're kind of talking about all of rock and roll. It is kind of like, maybe there's a little bit of Aerosmith in there, maybe there's a little bit of Motley Crue in there too. But it's that kind of era, that kind of dirty LA rock and roll that I think Pickles' band was.
Now, is it true you played guitar live when you were 14 and shook so bad you couldn't play it right, and it took 10 years to get back on stage? If you can't answer, I'm sorry if it offended you.
I'm not offended at all. The answer is yeah. When I first went on stage, I really had a terrible time. I got very scared. I was really not prepared to play it with an audience. And I got really nervous. I got tense. And then also it's because I really cared about guitar. And I just didn't know I never cared about anything that, when you go in front of people at school and you give a book report and you're like, la, 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 and you don't care that much and it's not scary. But when you actually really do care about something, it is scary. But it didn't take me 10 years to get back on stage. It took me 1 year because I was that night I was wondering after I did so terribly, I wondered if I should quit. And I wondered if this is the time where people kind of realize they're not good at something and they quit. But I said also, wait a minute, I'm kind of still, even though had a bad time on stage, I bet you that if I keep working as hard as I'm working right now, I bet I'm going to get better. And I bet you that I can, I bet you that I can do a better job. And I think I need to give myself that chance because I really like guitar a lot. So I kept practicing and practicing and practicing. And the next year I played and I played a lot better. And so I realized, you know what? I'm going to keep doing this because it's scary, but it's fun. And you have to challenge yourself to do things that you're frightened of, especially if you really want to play, you know?
Did you ever think about quitting when the lockdown was going on?
When the lockdown? No, in fact, I played more guitar than I've ever played in a long time because I had all this time. So right before the lockdown, I upgraded my studio and I got a lot of new synthesizer sounds and orchestral plugins and stuff. And so I messed around. I wrote a lot of music. I was also working on this project too. So when the lockdown, I already knew I was going to make this movie during the lockdown. So a lot of the research and a lot of the songwriting was done in the early part of the lockdown. And so I did the opposite of quitting. I made a ton of music because I knew I had this project.
So what is the craziest thing you remember about the lockdown?
Well, I remember how scared everybody was at the beginning, and I remember that it was like frightening to go to grocery shopping, and I remember people spraying down food and wiping everything off and being afraid of some invisible crazy thing. But it really was a real thing, and it was kind of scary. But I also kind of enjoyed being with my dog and my wife, not in that order, but there's my dog right there. There you can see her laying down.
Aw, she's
Yeah,
sweet.
just taking a nap. Yeah, she's really nice. So I really enjoyed I really was because I had so much work to do, I was stuck at home. But when I was working anyway, you're stuck at home by yourself. So it was kind of nice to have all that free time to really work on a project. So I wasn't so scared by it. I was happy to know that it was going away at some point. But because I had all this work, it wasn't it was something to keep my mind off of it, you know? What about you? How was your lockdown? Was that scary? That must have been crazy, right?
It was crazy, but I enjoyed it. I had so much free time, and it also like it helped me with my career. It helped me build my career with like lockdown and stuff. It
Yeah,
helped
yeah,
me
yeah.
do like farther away interviews, and I think it was good for like some people's thought about quitting, but it was also good for like family people like you. At like
Hmm.
sometimes like if you're busy at the studio making a new episode or you're busy on tour, you don't really see your family a lot. But this gave you that
Right.
chance to like be with your family for almost like in a year.
I have to say, I'm lucky that we were healthy throughout the whole time, and also I kind of enjoyed it too. I enjoyed the free time a lot. So, I mean, and I'm not always on tour. I'm usually, at home working anyway too. So it was just nice. I got to hang out in my yard a lot and just read and enjoy it. I rode my bike a lot, and was riding through the mountains and stuff like that. So I just go on these big long bike rides and hang out with my dog you know, and then play lots of guitar and write lots of music and I also had a lot of writing to do for other projects as I'm a writer too. So all that stuff was kind of nice. I mean, I kind of didn't mind it as much, only because we didn't have any health problems.
I mean, it was just like a vacation, but a little bit scarier than a vacation. A little bit scary.
Yeah, yeah.
Would you ever plan to do Playgirl again?
No, that was like a comedy. That was a comedy issue, and there were a lot of sometimes in comedy and in entertainment, there's like a dare, like dare you to do something, like doing stand up, going out in front of people. You know how scared I got with playing guitar. I knew I had to stop being scared of things, so I would always accept a challenge. So if somebody said, "Hey, do you want to do stand up on my show?" I would say, "Yeah," because it's a good challenge and it's scary, and I got to do it, right? And so somebody asked me to do that thing, and it really was a joke issue. So I felt like I could get away with it. But I don't know that anybody wants to see me in that anymore.
What do you think about AI?
I think, what do I think? Well, I think there's a lot of really cool stuff and a lot of really not so cool stuff. I think it's really interesting because I think AI, it's artificial intelligence, but it does kind of function the way that the creative mind does, which is you're influenced by a lot of things, and then you gather up all those things in your head and you make something with all that crazy information, you know? Like if I make a record, it's hard to not be influenced by my favorite guitar players that I grew up listening to, or hard to not be influenced by heavy metal in general, you know? And when I make a movie or a TV show, I am influenced by a lot of things that gets me to this place. But hopefully, when you see the final product, you don't see that I've copied anything. I've made it my own. I've made it my own kind of idea, and my whole entire life and all my experiences go into making that. And that's hard to see AI doing because there isn't a real person there that's had a lot of experiences. So there people are afraid that AI will take over for writing. I don't know that it will. Maybe it will. Who knows? Maybe it'll be really good. Who knows? But I'm interested in some of the parts of it too, like mid journey, like like seeing what art kind of comes out of it. But I'm also more interested in like two or three versions of mid journey earlier when everything was wrong. Do you remember those, like, did you ever see the mid journey stuff where they like had like kind of like shots of movies, but everyone has like mangled hands and extra
Mhm.
fingers and crazy ribs. And that to me was way more interesting when it was wrong and eerie and weird. That was cool. But now they fix it so it looks too perfect. So I don't know. I think there's a development tool in it, but I also don't expect it to reinvent the wheel, really. I think we still have to work as writers to make great stuff that people remember and care about.
I think it's like crazy. Like they'll have like full songs without the singer, but it sounds like just like them. Or they can make a singer do like a parody of another song. Like they can take like Elvis or like Biggie Smalls and they can
Yeah,
make them sing like one of their songs. But maybe
I
like
think that's pretty nice. Yeah. Go
yeah,
ahead. Yeah.
but maybe who the people who have the rights to like the Doors or Elvis or like Biggie Smalls will agree to put out like an AI record. Maybe think like get a lyricist and like make an AI like an AI Biggie Smalls and sing that song, and it could be.
Would you would you buy that record?
I mean, maybe I would like to hear it. I would like to hear it. I would like to see how it
You'll
is.
sample it, but maybe yeah, but maybe not spend money. Yeah, you check it out first, right?
Yeah, I would like to
Yeah.
check it out.
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy. I think music already sounds kind of like it's been some music sounds like it doesn't really have a lot of exciting changes or things. I like pop music, I like heavy music, I like symphonic music, I like jazz, I like all kinds of stuff. And and I'm always looking for people that write really cool, interesting songs that are both kind of catchy and interesting, but also have a nice little twist or a chord that makes my head go, "What? What was that?" And I'm always looking for something that's just a little bit exciting in a songwriting world. And if AI can do that, then I guess that's cool. But I don't know. I'm only interested in someone that's got a story that's something somewhat human. And if you take that part away, then I'm not as interested. But I think it's fascinating that the technology exists where a celebrity's voice can appear on something. But um, but I would much rather listen to a person that is a good artist that is writing from their soul and their heart and their spirit and making cool stuff, you know?
I mean, I wouldn't like if AI like started to become a new thing. I think it's interesting, but I wouldn't like it to become like really big, like where they'll like start actually using it. But I think it's interesting.
Yeah, I think so too. But a long time ago, like 20 something years ago, this is why people are on strike right now, is because they're trying to figure out how do we manage AI? Can it get out of hand and can artists likeness that don't give permission? Can artists not give permission? Can stuff get out and can people make money off of it? That's a question. So I think people need to kind of sort that out before they start doing it because what if you were a singer and then your voice ended up on a song that you didn't like? and thought was stupid, and then they made money off of it, and you're sitting there going, wait, I'm the one with the voice. You guys just copied it. So how would you even how do you how do you create a situation where that's okay, or that the artist can say, no, I don't want to do that. I heard the song, I don't like it. I don't want to be associated with it. I don't want you taking my voice and making you say things that I don't want to say. I don't believe in with that stuff or whatever. So I think there's a lot of complicated stuff that goes on with it. But I also think there's going to be really cool stuff in AI with like the medical world, like solving problems and helping people, not get sick and helping people live longer. I think that's going to be really interesting.
I think it's interesting and terrifying. Like, let's say that someone like stole your voice or like someone stole a famous person's voice. Like,
Hmm.
they can make them say something controversial, and then just
Yeah.
everybody would think that they said that, and then like they're canceled.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, and then also on top of that, if that ends up happening so often, then nobody's going to believe anything anyone says anymore because we're not going to know if it's AI or not. So the fact that like, so hopefully establishing rules that everybody can kind of agree to will help channel where AI goes.
what's life like on the road for you?
Well, I'm hoping it's really nice and relaxing. That's what I'm hoping for. I've only, it's so funny because I went to music school and I also became a writer, and then I started doing stand up, then I started getting into TV, and then I started incorporating music in TV with Metalocalypse. So I don't always go on the road. It's only every once in a while, like when I have a movie out or I have records out, like all this stuff. So I don't really have a set way of doing it, but I learned a long time ago. It's just it is pretty relaxing being on a tour bus. It's a nice night of sleep. That's what I think. I like the being in a moving vehicle. It's that vibration is kind of feels cool. I think I slept better on the tour bus than I've ever slept in my bed. So I like that. I like performing for people. Our audiences are really cool. They're really nice. They're really excited. I like the musicians that we're touring with, so I like to hang out with them and have conversations and joke around. And then I like to have like movie nights, where I say, okay, if you guys are interested, I'd like to show you something you've never seen before, and then like show them a movie or rent a movie or buy a movie or bring a bunch of my own movies on the road. I really like movies a lot. And then it's really fun to talk to musicians who I think are really good, and that band, the band that I work with are really good musicians, and they're really thoughtful and smart people. And that's also why they're professional musicians, because they're good at communicating, and they're easy to be around. They're easy fun hang. And then hopefully I can bring a few books and do some reading too, because I've been busy for a really long time making all this stuff. So it'd be nice to like just read a book in my bunk and just hang out and just relax.
That
But I'm
sounds
gonna
fun.
miss my dog. Yeah.
Yeah. What's the best venue you've ever played?
Oh, geez, there are a lot of really cool venues out there. There's so many cool venues with cool architecture. The Aragon Ballroom in Chicago is a beautiful place with cool chandeliers and stuff. Um, big outdoor venues are really cool too. We got to play at the Bank of California Stadium, which is just a big outdoor place. I got to play, because I really like music and I really like Prince, the artist Prince, and we got to play at his venue in in Milwaukee once, and that was really cool.
Would you think it was emotional at all?
Um, At the time, it wasn't because he was still around and I was mourning his
Ah,
death. So, but I thought it was, but I was just looking around and I thought, oh, this is the venue from the movie Purple Rain, which is a cool movie that I really grew up loving. And I really like Prince as a guitar player and as a singer and a songwriter. And so it was I just couldn't believe that it felt smaller than it looked in the movie, but I was just really excited to be in that place just because it was kind of historical, and he was such a great artist and influenced me so much in wanting to be a guitar player. So that was cool. So I just thought it was cool. I thought it was cool. I like the Hammerstein Ballroom in New York. I think that's a cool place. Yeah, I like all those places.
what's the worst venue you've ever played?
The worst venue. The worst venue. Um, oh, I just remember one of them. It was a cool venue, but the only thing that made it bad was that it was really hot. So I remember we played in Lawrence, Kansas one time, and it was like misty and muggy and just sweaty and slimy everywhere, and the audience was all glistening, and we were glistening, and they were kind of like underground. The ceilings were low, and I just remember the venue was pretty cool looking, but it was just too hot in there, and that can that can just make you exhausted and tired on stage.
Any one of you guys get heat stroke?
No, but maybe this time we'll get heat stroke. Who knows?
What is on your rider?
What is on my rider? I can take a look. Let me see. See if I can find it. Oh, here we go. Coffee. Um, let's see. Milk.
Good.
This is pretty boring. Water, boring. Assortment of cans and flavored, yeah, like sparkling water, like kind of like basically like flavored water. Not exciting. It's all pretty healthy. A little bit of beer, but not much because this has got to be a job. I got to take it seriously. Plus, I need to be okay for the next day, so not too much of that.
No hungover.
Um, yeah, you don't want to be hungover and working. It's no fun. Let's see, chips, salsa, popcorn, um, veggie trays, hummus, stuff for sandwiches. Maybe a little bit of chocolate, not much though. Um, Fruit, fresh fruit. So basically, this is like the old guy healthy rider. Nothing exciting or fun at all. It's like stay healthy. Try not to get, out of shape too much, and try to treat it like a job, because I don't, I just want to get off stage and get onto the next stage and just go through this whole thing. And well, like I said, one other plan is I have some work I may get to do. It's a little bit of writing or something for myself while I'm on the road. I have an idea for a project that's kind of pertains to all this. So it's a new idea for maybe a movie or something. So I want to kind of stay focused on thinking about that and putting that together.
Do you have a ritual before you go on stage?
Yeah, I do. I do. And I'm a guitar player and I'm a vocalist, so I try to get my voice kind of ready just by growling a little bit and just kind of like just making sure that kind of sound is there, ready for me. I also I need for me to play good guitar, I need to be warmed up for about 45 minutes or an hour before I go on stage. So I'll take my phone and I'll put a metronome on there and I'll just run scales like triplets. Like click, click. So I'll do that kind of stuff just over and over again, but it really warms up my right hand and it wakes up my left hand. It has always taken me a long time to be able to warm up. And it's just getting my muscles relaxed, making sure I can move around on stage, stuff like that. Just really practical stuff. Some people can just grab a guitar and play great. I need to really warm up all the time because I want to play. I want to play really well in front of people.
I mean, everybody wants to, so it's good to get
Yeah,
a
and
nice good old warm up.
yeah, it really helps out. So, and also just kind of improves your confidence before you go on stage. You're like, okay, this feels good. Okay, I'm having fun.
Get like
Picking
pumped
hand
up.
feels good. Yeah, left hand feels good. And then the audience is always crazy for these shows because the whole thing is it starts off with animation before we even go on stage, and there's story that happens. And it's more like, have you ever been to Universal Studios or like been to an amusement park place where
Yeah,
they have like a ride, but there's like also a visual kind of component to it?
like a 4D kind of like a 4D, and then on like one of those things. It's kind of like that, right?
Yeah, kind of like that. But our show is like it feels like you're on a ride just because the screen opens up and starts talking to you, and there's a bad guy, and then there's a good guy, and then we jump on stage, and then it starts getting exciting, and we start playing, and we're playing brutal stuff, and you see all this crazy cartoon carnage all around, and it's really fun. I mean, when I look at because I have the best seat in the house, I'm in the shadows, and I'm wearing like all black, and I have my guitar, and I can hardly see my guitar too, so I have to like put glowing tape on it. but I have the best seat in the house because I get to watch everyone in mosh pits in front of me. And then I just get to see smiles everywhere. People are so happy because this is a big celebration of the whole show, you know? And we're putting out a movie that concludes it, and we have some cool new animation that's part of it too. So it's all pretty exciting. And yeah,
Any big mosh pits?
yeah, we have some songs that we are like, this will get a pit going right here. This is cool, and it's always fun because I'm sure you've been to a lot of shows, but if you want to mosh, go mosh. If you don't want to mosh, you don't have to.
Ever have a crazy interaction with a fan?
Oh, I remember one time our audiences are really cool. They're really nice, so it's very rare that anything goes sideways, you know. But I remember one time I saw a guy. I think we were on the first time we played, we did a college tour, so it wasn't like big cool venues. They were kind of different places of in college campuses, and some of them were like commencement halls or speaking or lecture halls where we'd be on stage with our screen behind us. And one guy I saw at the top of like the stairs, and he was a tall guy. He was like 6'4". He was probably like 350 pounds, big dude. And he started running straight towards me, and he kept running and running. And I was like, this guy's getting closer, and I'm in the middle of a song. And he looks very intense and insane. And I thought this guy's coming to, and I've got to finish this song. I don't know what's. He's getting closer. He's getting closer. And at the last second, the security grabbed him and took him away. But it was really crazy. I think he was just wanted to like charge the stage or do something crazy. I don't know what he was going to do. But yeah, maybe he was a fan, maybe he wasn't. I don't know.
How many security guards did they have to get?
I think they had probably two or three.
Oh, that's crazy, man. That had to be pretty
Yeah.
scary. Were you thinking about like maybe like swinging the guitar at him?
I don't think I'm going to use the guitar as a weapon because I think I'd go to jail if I hurt him really badly. So I think it's best that I just get out of the way so I can do the next show.
What is your favorite memory from playing a show?
Mm. I have a lot of like little snapshots in my head where, where I see that we're really connecting with the audience, and it's usually like later on in the set we play a couple songs that are bigger and more epic, and and sometimes you see people kind of like arm in arm around each other and they're excited and stuff, and I think that's the first thing that comes to mind is seeing something like that. It's really nice to see people all excited and happy together because of music, even though it's heavy and even though it's brutal, they're still like really excited and seeing friendships and all that stuff out in the audience is really cool.
What is your worst?
Worst experience on stage. Mm, it's funny because you go on stage and you want to make sure you don't make mistakes, you don't screw up. But when I was first starting, you have to realize I was a comedy writer who hadn't been playing guitar professionally, even though I'm an okay guitar player and I make music school and all that stuff. But I remember I would have all kinds of disasters on stage, like where there'd be a whole, tour where inevitably one guitar would drop, my strap would be screwed up, and my guitar would drop. And I mean, I would literally drop my guitar on stage, and I think that's like something that's just crazy. You never expect to drop a guitar, but I was also learning everything, and I had a lot of stuff to think about at the same time between doing vocals and playing guitars, and then like switching pedals and getting into your solos and all that stuff. So,
What do you
I remember
sorry.
dropping my guitar. Yeah.
What do you do on your downtime for fun?
Well, like I said, I'm a really big fan of movies, so I love going to the movies. Um, I also, there's guitar. Guitar is kind of my job, but I also really like to practice it for stuff that has nothing to do with heavy metal. So there's like, so what I'll do is I'll put some time aside for me to play guitar, whatever guitar I want to play, not like work guitar, because work guitar is like dethklok, and I enjoy playing all that stuff, but sometimes I like to experiment and improvise, and that's kind of how I have fun is that. And plus the other thing I do for fun is I just like hanging out with my dog and going on walks. I'm pretty boring. I am like even though I make crazy TV shows and music. I'm a pretty pretty boring homebody, and I really love movies. I love my dog, and I love playing my guitar.
Hey man, it's good to be down to earth, man. It's good to be a chill guy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's easier.
I know you like to see movies. Have you seen the new horror movie Talk to Me yet?
I did. Did
It's
you?
really good. Yeah, right?
Yeah, it was really cool. It's really creative.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I really like horror movies a lot. So that movie was really interesting to see. Um, I I thought it was really cool, and there's some really cool sequences. Like when I look at a movie, I'm always hoping it's going to be great, and I'm hoping it's going to be scary and creepy, and I'm hoping that someone very creative is driving the movie. The directors, in that case, it's two directors that made the movie, and there's some really. I don't want to ruin the movie for anyone that hasn't seen it, but there are a couple really cool sequences in that movie where it's almost like there's music playing and they're partying, but they're advancing the story what
Mhm.
with the whole hand and all that stuff, and everyone's kind of participating. That was a sequence where I was like, that's a really cool sequence. That really works. It's rhythmic, it's musical, it's telling the story, and it's also this, it's dangerous what they're doing, in the movie. So it's cool that they're like excited by the danger, but it's also so dreadful, because something bad's gonna happen.
Like it was
So I
also
love
like
that. I
a
love that
crazy
dread.
start. Like it was a crazy start too, which like it kind of hooked you at the start.
Yeah, it was really well thought out and good acting too, because through those actors we experience the entire movie, and when they're really behaving in circumstance in the movie, it's really cool. So I agree. I'm glad you saw that. That's cool.
I thought the genre of the horror was cool. It's like a secret genre. It's what the director said. It's supposed to be like a ghost movie. They think it's a ghost movie, but it's supposed to be like a demon movie in disguise, kind of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see that. That's cool. Where did you see an interview with the directors?
Yeah, and it was also like, yeah, I heard it
That's
on the
cool.
internet. Did
Do
you
you
see,
have do you have a yeah, go ahead. What?
did
Sorry.
you see Last Voyage of the Demeter?
I haven't seen that yet, but I know some people that I know the guy who did the music for the movie, and I know David Dismulchin, who was in a video that I directed, who is one of the actors in the movie too. What did you think? Did you see it?
Yeah, I thought it was like I don't think it was better than Talk to Me, but they were very both good movies. It's based off,
Yeah.
Dracula, right? The book of Dracula.
Yeah, it's about the voyage
Yeah,
from England or whatever to to
it's
America.
good.
Oh no, it's a voyage from wherever to England, I think. I
Romania,
don't remember.
so like, yeah.
Oh yeah, Romania. Yeah, of course.
I
Count
like the
Dracula.
dirt stuff though. Like it was kind of like weirding me. Oh, wait, nah, sorry, man. I was about to spoil it. My bad, bro.
Oh
Sorry.
yeah. Don't spoil it. Good catch. Yeah, that's cool.
What is next for you?
That's a good question. I have a lot of writing projects that I'm getting ready to get into. We'll see. But I want to direct a horror movie. I want to direct a heavy metal horror movie, and I've got one in mind, and that's kind of what I'm thinking of writing while I'm on the road. So I'd like to come back and get a script together and do something that is really cool and dark and interesting, and also has a musical element, because I like telling a story with a musical element. I like, you know, scary, dark stuff. I also like comedy a lot too, but I think they can kind of go hand in hand. You can have characters that can be still the characters in the movie and have good kind of levity and comedy in their character, but still be very, very scary. So that's what I'm thinking. Speaking of all that horror stuff, that's what I'd like to do, is direct a live action movie, not an animation
Oh,
thing,
okay,
but a
yeah.
live action. Yeah.
Would it be about like spirits, or would it be like about like killer, like a metal killer, probably like a death metal killer?
It would be more like, yeah, I think it's going to be a little bit more grounded. I don't think it's going to be in the ghost world as much as it is going to be in like the real world. But I think there's going to be a lot of mystical elements, because I like that a lot in movies too. Kind of just creepy, weird elements. So without spoiling my movie, I'm thinking of it's going to probably feel mystical and cool and still be grounded at the same time, because some of my favorite movies do that.
Like gypsy stuff, kind of?
Well, just movies that are creepy and weird. Like, did you ever see the movie Seven?
Yeah.
But that movie's got like a dark, creepy, but it's a detective story ultimately, you know? And there's no magic and no witches or anything like that. So, but you can get really creepy and interesting and weird and dark.
If this is gonna be too much spoiling about your new movie, what is your movie gonna be about? Kind of like, what is it gonna surround? More just like death metal, or
There's gonna be a band at the center, but I think it's gonna be about there's gonna be a detective story and there are gonna be some bodies that are piling up. And and yeah, I think it's all gonna be and I think it's gonna take place all over the country.
I can see something with that. That sounds really good. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. I wish I could say more, but I think it could spoil it a little bit.
yeah, I don't want to spoil it.
If we weren't being recorded, I'd tell you a little bit more about it. But yeah, I've talked to some friends about it, and some of my friends that are directors and writers and filmmakers. And I'll always have ideas, and I'm always trying to see if things are kind of landing with my friends or my wife or peers of mine. And um and this one I've been telling some of my friends about, and the reaction's been pretty cool. And so I think I gotta make it, and it makes sense too. And what I like is putting myself in a position where I can write a lot of music in and make that part of the movie, make the music part of a movie and part of the storytelling.
Are you gonna try to get some famous actors in there for like a cameo kind of in the movie, or are you gonna like start it whole new with all like brand new kind of actors?
It all depends, it's kind of crazy. Sometimes you can't afford a big star because they cost a lot of money. Because if a big star's in a movie, then that means more people will see it and they know that they're valuable in that way. So it depends on what kind of. So that's another thing you have to think about when making a record or making a movie. You always have to think about how much money you have and what's the best way to spend it. And it seems kind of boring, but it really is important. The more, especially with movie making. I think you know, what is it? Roger Corman. I think maybe Jack Nicholson said this about Roger Corman, who's a great producer and director, and Jack Nicholson is a great actor. And Jack Nicholson said, uh, a movie maker that doesn't understand how money works is like an artist not understanding how paint works. You just really need to understand how to spend money wisely and where to put your efforts and where to really make the movies really exciting and to be conservative in some places and spend money in others. So it really seems boring, but the sooner any of us learn those lessons, the better off we are in the future.
How do my followers follow you?
How do they? Oh, I guess I'm on Instagram. Um uh Brendon Small at Brendon Small, BrendonSmall. And I'm also on uh I am also on Twitter or Zitter or whatever it's called now. At same name at
X?
Brendon Small.
Yeah, X.
Yeah, X, yeah.
Yeah. That was such a dumb move. I don't know why he did that.
Who knows? Who knows? I think they put another interview and I think I gotta go try to jump on it. I may have had too much fun talking to you for too long, so I may have to go do another interview right afterwards that I'm late for.
I'm
But do
sorry.
you have any final questions?
Um, yeah, I have like a fun question. Just one fun question.
Okay. Okay.
You're on death row and it's time for a final meal. What's on the menu?
Yeah. Oh, that's so funny. We have that question in the movie,
Oh,
and it's really funny. And what is the final meal of a death metal vocalist? And that's in the movie. So I'm not going to say it, and you have to watch the movie to find the answer for that question. So that's good that you asked that question at the end.
that's a good cliffhanger right there. That's gonna
I
get.
know it's a teaser. It's a teaser. More reason to check the movie out.
All
Well,
right.
it's really good talking to you. Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
very
it's been a
much
pleasure
for the
speaking with
interest.
you. Thank
Yeah,
you for being on my show, and it's just been a pleasure speaking with you, and I appreciate it.
me too. Let's see you.